Hello, today I'll be doing something a bit different. It's going to be 3D, like a lot of my other demos, but it's going to be with Three.js, not with CSS. And the main reason why I've been using CSS so far is because with CSS I can put something on the screen immediately. With a canvas, whether it's 2D and especially WebGL, it takes quite a bit, and if you're watching a video, you're just seeing a wall of code being built and no visual changes. So that could be a bit boring, but I'm going to give it a try anyway, so wish me luck because it's the first time I'm doing this. So one thing I want to show you at the beginning, I already have the library included here and you can do it via quick add. So next thing, I'm just going to copy paste a few utility functions, and these are not related to Three.js or 3D in any way, but they're just to round a number to a certain number of decimals, which is 2 by default, get a random sign, which is 1 or -1, get a random value in between a maximum and a minimum with a certain number of decimals. So that's all there is to these functions. So now that I've got these out of the way, let's start writing some code. So first of all, we're going to have the dimensions of the window. So the width is going to be window inner width, and it's going to be pretty much the same for the height, except this is going to be height, obviously, and this is going to be inner height. Okay. Next, I'm going to have 3 constant values. I'm going to have a scene, new 3 scene. Next, I'm going to have a camera, which is a perspective camera, new 3 and it's going to take a few arguments, but for now just leave it like this. A renderer, new 3 WebGL renderer. So for now just leave it at this, and let's try to put something on the screen. Okay, and this is going to auto run. First of all, I'm going to set a few things for my renderer. So I'm on a Surface Book, so I need to set this set pixel ratio. Sorry, window. Okay, I always panic when I don't see stuff auto-completing. Render, set size, width and height. Okay. Render, scene and camera. Now I should see something in the console. Okay, looks good. Now document, body, append child, render DOM element. So this is adding the canvas to the body. Okay, and it worked, as you can see it there. It's black by default, ugly. So let's do something here. We're going to have body margin 0 and also overflow hidden. Okay. Also, one more thing I want to set here: canvas display block. So this should do it. This is all for the CSS. Now let's get back to the JS. We're going to have a shape here, and the shape is going to be a regular polyhedron, and we need to get the radius of its circumsphere, and we're going to get this in relation to the minimum viewport dimension. So it's going to be the viewport dimension times a factor, which is going to be k. So let's say it's going to be 0.17. So my shape, my 3D shape is 3 mesh, and this needs a geometry and a material. So I'm going to write it like this because I want to be able to collapse this, and I won't be able otherwise. So that's the whole reason why I'm writing it like that. So 3 geometry, and it's going to be a regular polyhedron. We're going to get back to that. New 3 mesh basic material, and this here I'm going to have color. So this is going to be a regular polyhedron with 20 faces, and the radius is going to be k times the minimum between the width and the height. So where am I doing wrong? Oh, sorry. I don't know how I didn't see that. Okay. So that did it. Now that I've done it, I'm going to add this to the scene. So I'm going to have scene add my 3D shape. Now the thing is, my camera is inside my shape, so I need to move the camera out. So the center of my shape is at 0, 0, 0, and the camera is at the same position, so it's inside, so I need to move it out. So I need to change its position along the z-axis. And also I need to make this unflat. So the aspect ratio near and far. Okay, now this doesn't really look like anything, but if I do wireframe true, it's going to start to look like something, like a 3D shape. And actually, let's make this white. Okay, and one more thing I want here. Okay, it does help. Okay, now that I've done this, let's do something on resize. So I'm going to have a size function. And what I want here is, first of all, let's just take these. Okay. And then I'm going to have the aspect ratio then I also going to need to update the projection matrix. Then I need to update the size of the renderer. And I need to render the thing. Okay, and now here I'm going to have an event listener. Oops. Actually, the event is resize, not size. Okay, now it works. And it distorts it, but I don't really care in this case. Distortion is okay. Now let's start animating this thing. So I'm going to have, and within this function right here, I'm going to start rotating the thing. So that's going to be my 3D shape, position, no, rotation, sorry. And I also need to render the thing. So now if I call this function, now it starts rotating. And I can also add another rotation along the y, around the y-axis. Rotations are around, not along. Okay, so this works nicely, but this is a bit boring. So let's make things a bit more interesting by distorting this shape. So I want to make the vertices oscillate. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to add a current time to the animation, and I'm also going to add a total animation duration, something like this. And I'm going to have two types of animation. One is going to be the oscillating one, and the other one is going to be so two types of animation. First type is initially 0, so the rotating is the first one, and the oscillating one is the second one. So here I'm going to have my oscillating animation, else I'm going to have the rotating one. Now here I'm going to have a k, which is the current time over the total animation duration. So if the current time reaches the total animation duration, I reset the current time, I change the animation, the type of animation, so now when it's stopped, it's when it should be oscillating. The vertices should be oscillating. They're not because there's no code in there yet. Okay, so now that I've done this, I'm also going to have here the radius. This is the radius of the circumsphere. So another thing I'm going to get here is the number of vertices. So this is my 3D shape. I'm going to get its geometry, vertices, length. Okay. Next, I'm going to store some info about the initial positions of my vertices and the amplitude of motion. So here I'm going to have initial and amplitude. Okay, now the initial thing here is going to be so I'm going to get the initial positions. So here I'm going to have an object which is empty, and then I'm going to return this object at the end after I populate it. But first of all, I'm going to have an array of directions. So x, y. There's probably a better way of doing this, but I can't think of one right now. So the fastest way is the one you have in mind at the moment. So let's do it like this. So this should do it. Except there's something wrong. Okay, I finally saw it. That's what's wrong. Okay, this worked. Now I need to compute the amplitudes. So that's going to be another function. Set amplitudes. Okay, so here I want to do this. So I'm going to have the radius. It's going to be my 3D shape. I'm going to get the geometry, parameters, and the radius from there. Okay, then I'm going to set the amplitudes. Okay, so here again I'm going to have an empty object, which I'm going to return it once I populate it. So here I'm going to have first of all, I'm going to have the sign. So and if the sign is 0, then I'm going to have a random sign. Then I'm going to multiply this with a random value in between 0.5 and 0.25 times the radius. Oh, sorry. Okay, there's another mistake that I've missed. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to do something here. Okay, so those values look okay. Oh, that's why. Okay, low battery warning. Now this is something I didn't exactly plan for. Okay, now it started working again. Can't believe I wasted so much time on this. Okay, let's get rid of that log. We can collapse this thing. And now let's collapse this as well. Let's get back to the animation. So here I'm going to have a loop. So for I smaller than n, and I need to increment it every time. But before that, I'm going to compute a few things that won't change within the loop. So I'm going to have a j, which is 1 minus k. Then I'm going to have a factor, which is sine of k times 10 times pi. So this should do it. Now I'm going to have and this is going to be another loop, so for here I'm going to take this, the initial value, and I'm going to multiply it with j times the f factor times the amplitude. So I also need to tell it to update the vertices. Okay, so this is the effect I've been after. This is what I wanted to do. As you can see, it looks interesting, to say the least. There's one more thing I can do to randomize things a bit further. So let's make these so here I'm just I don't know what happened there. Anyway, this is going to be a random volume. So this should do it. For some reason I broke something and I have no idea why. Okay, now that I've done that as well, I think you should be able to. Okay, so this is pretty much it. So the simple shape, as you can see, it looks like that. And if you animate the thing, it rotates and then it just gets distorted, and then it rotates, gets distorted again. So yeah, this is it. This is what I wanted to show you today. You're going to find the link to the finished demo in the description below. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments or send them on Twitter. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to do more stuff in the future, please consider supporting my work in one of the ways explained in the description below, with a donation, by getting me something off my Amazon wish list, or at least by sharing this to show the world what can be done with, on the web these days, because I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching.